Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Colleen Meyer, and welcome to another session of A Brand New Take with Michelle Petties. Michelle is the host of A Brand New Take. She is a food story finder, a speaker, and the author of a soon-to-be released upcoming book, Leaving Large. And it is a memoir of a food addict who gained and lost 700 pounds in 40 years. Michelle, the floor is yours.
Yay. Hey, everybody. So if it's 7:00, right? If it's 7:00 and it's a Sunday night, it must be time for a brand new take. Thank you, Dr. Colleen, extraordinary producer, extraordinary moderator. Thank you, Gina Cushenberry, extraordinary nutritionist on the stage with us tonight. Thank you, Leslie Davis, author of You Can't Eat Love, joining us tonight. So tonight, what we're going to do, we're doing some truth telling. We're doing some truth talking about why we eat what we eat. That's what a food story is about. So it's when we all hear about, the big why, the big why, the big why, the big why, right? Well, how about the why behind the why? Right? We hear it all the time. People say it all the time. I'm an emotional eater. And just drop that on the floor like it's a bag. I'm an emotional eater, so there. Well, why are you an emotional eater, right? Why do you think it's okay, perfectly acceptable, to eat for a reason other than hunger, to eat for a reason other than nutrition? Why do you think if you eat a bag of potato chips that your depression, your sadness, your anger, your happiness, that's going to go away? Why do we think that? So when we get to the root of our food stories, and our food stories are why we believe what we believe about a certain food. When we get to our food stories, then we can get some clarity and confusion and start eating for the right reasons. And here's the thing about those food stories. Food stories can be conscious, they can be subconscious, and they can be unconscious. How about that? So the conscious food story. The conscious food story is, I don't eat peanuts because I'm allergic to them. Conscious, very clear. That's my food story around peanuts. I don't eat seafood because I'm allergic to it. Conscious. I don't drink milk. Oh, wait a minute. I shouldn't drink milk, but I do because I'm lactose intolerant, right? So that's another story. Why do you feel like you want to drink it even though you know it's not good for you, right? We need to bring a psychologist on for that, right? Or why is it you just find yourself sitting? Okay, so I went to see David Sedaris the other night to a show up in Baltimore. And if you all don't know him, he's a humorist and writer and has written a number of books and he's very funny. And so he tells the story of his sister who eats a gallon of ice cream while she's driving after they have left the grocery store. And she just opens the gallon of ice cream and eats it even without utensils. She's just using her fingers and eats up a gallon of ice cream, right? I don't know what it is, but there is a food story in there somewhere as to why you think that's okay. So why why do we feel like we always have to have ice cream and cake when it's somebody's birthday? That's a food story. Can we celebrate a birthday another way? Can we do that? Is it possible to do that? Why do we have to go out to eat when we're celebrating somebody's anything? We can do some other things to celebrate. There's a food story in there. Why do we think it's a big deal to go out for steak? Go to I don't want to call any names, but go to a fancy steakhouse, right? We think we've really done something. That is a food story. And that is what I call a subconscious food story. Right? The other thing around unconscious is unconscious eating. It's like you're just you walk up to a group of people, somebody has a bag of potato chips, they hold out the bag of potato chips and you just put your hand in the bag and eat. Or you just automatically hold out the bag. That's unconscious. It's just I'm eating because it's there. I see it, I pick it up, right? So our mission, our job here tonight, the four of us, right, is to raise our collective consciousness about why we eat what we eat. Because when we become aware, we can stop the train, right? We can stop the train. All a food story is an interruption. It's an interruption of the pattern, right? So we get some consciousness because the reality is when I was gaining and losing that 700 pounds, one of my problems was I was eating too much of the wrong things for the wrong reasons, and I was doing it unconsciously. So if we get to our consciousness, right? If we get to the reasons, it makes it easier to deal with those first two things, the too much and the whatever it happens to be. So the way we do that, every Sunday night, we have a dilemma. We have a situation. Which involves food, some sort of choice. You can do this or you can do that. You can do this or you can do that, or you can do this or a number of other that's. And we unpack it. We unpack it between the three of us here. And if you happen to be viewing, you can unpack it with us by jumping in the chat, putting in your comments. We want your comments. We want your dilemmas. We want to hear from you, right? Because we raise our consciousness together. We raise our consciousness collectively. That's what this is all about. So we're going to jump right into tonight's topic. And if you're watching on YouTube, jump in. You're watching in the Facebook group, jump in. If you're watching someplace else, we want to hear from you, right? We want to hear from you. We want to hear your opinions. We want to hear what your dilemma is. But we're going to keep on moving this train. So Dr. Colleen, if you can read the dilemma for this week, we'll jump right in.
Okay, the dilemma for this week is: imagine the FDA has just approved a new diet drug that works like magic. Take it 3 nights in a row. Drink 8 glasses of water 3 days in a row and get 8 hours of sleep 3 days in a row. And on the 4th day, you wake up to your ideal size. What will you eat on the first day of your ideal size? That is the dilemma this week. I think it's a loaded question, too.
Yeah. So my question is, did we get anybody that weighed in on that question? Did we get it?
And I think there was probably a reason, because I think most people, and I think I myself a little bit, and I've done this. Oh my God, I lost those whatever pounds I wanted to lose. I'm going to go sneak a hamburger or half a hamburger, or, so I think there was that little bit of, telling on themselves.
Yeah, it's a trick. Oh, we see this coming. It's a trick question.
Because I'm thinking, do I want to even admit that I would do that? And I'm like, yes, I'm going to have to admit, but I've done that before. Hey, you know what? I'm at my weight I want to be. So what's an extra, 300 calories? Woo! And then you go back up the other way.
Well, you know what? I quite frankly, I'm not surprised that people didn't weigh in on that question. And I wanted to ask it, and I wanted to kind of like put it out in the atmosphere, and I wanted my experts, to weigh in on what happens in that situation, because what brought it up for me is when I lost the weight, and Leslie, I don't know if this happened to you or not, but so many people would come to me and say, "Oh my God, you've lost so much weight. What is your secret? What is your secret? What did you do?" And in that moment, I almost felt like they were expecting me to tell them something else other than eat less, move more. That there was that, and that here, give me this thing so I don't have to go through the work. Like it doesn't look like you had to do, and then I'll be there, right? And but I also think that deep down inside, they know everybody knows that there isn't a secret. Everybody, but there's some things that we can do to make it easier, which is why I was trying to slip in that, drink water, get sleep thing. But what happens is that, it's just like you said, Colleen, you work and work, and then you get to your ideal weight. And you think, oh, I'll go have this or I have that, and then you're off the program. But the thing is that there's this consciousness that has to happen. There's this consciousness that has to happen to get you to that place, right? And that's the thing that we have to get connected to. We have to figure out how to stay, connected to. It's like that dance with the one that brung you kind of thing. And so, Miss Gina, if you want to like weigh in on that question and your thoughts about, people that you might have worked with or the perspective of it.
Sure. I think it really ties in. I mean, you can almost say that's synonymous with a crash diet or a quick diet, quick thing to lose 10 pounds. I've been guilty myself. I've done those several times only to learn that behavior is, yeah, I'm going to get the result, but is it going to last me? No, not if I'm thinking about that next piece of chocolate I get to eat or whatever it is for you, once the whole thing is over. So I think that's a big component of this. When we're talking about food stories, a lot of people have that food story where, okay, I've reached my goal. I've gotten there. I worked so hard. In this case, it was only 3 days, but we would say, I mean, you got there. And if you could get there so fast in a fantasy kind of world, it would be great. Right. But we all know once you start to eat again, what could happen. So I think the big thing from this is that with this kind of a food story, it's that the consciousness has to be there. So, okay, you get to the goal. Now, what is your life going to look like as far as what you eat? Because obviously, whatever you ate previously to that got you to where you didn't want to be.
Right.
So what's going to change? And a lot of people get stuck in that. And it's the same thing with the food is the reward. We just talked about birthday parties. Why do we have to have cake? So I think a big thing I do with my clients, they might not love it, but it's not your birthday. You don't get the cake. So, I mean, that's one way to like start right there. Like when it's your birthday, then you can think about having the cake and maybe you want it, maybe you don't. Maybe you want to celebrate in a different way by that time. So I would say, I mean, yeah, there's a few layers in here, but I mean, first and foremost is we've got to get out of this cycle of this mind thought that food is the reward for what we just did. You just gave up the food, so why should that be the reward? And I
Right.
think once you get into the consciousness of it, like
Right.
you said,
Right.
you know.
What I have found as I have like been processing, my food stories, is that that it really is the memory and the experience around the early activities with the food,
Yeah.
right? So like you're a kid and it's a birthday party and you got cake and ice cream and then over time it just becomes a habit.
Thing, yeah.
And now, but now even though I'm not like really eating it, but the times when I was stepping away from it, right? When I was moving away from it, and I would go back and eat it, it didn't taste as good. It was like it wasn't even worth it. It wasn't as good as I remembered, because it wasn't the food that I was really remembering. It was the food. It was the experience, and that's the thing that I'm actually writing about now, is that now that I have in some ways moved to the other side, what have I learned? What have I learned on this leg of the journey? And it's like, well, I used to do this, but now I do this, and I now have learned that it's really this way. It's like the stuff, and I think, yeah, and Leslie, you can weigh on this too. If your palate changes, your desire changes, but it just doesn't mean it. It just doesn't mean anything. It doesn't bring the pleasure. Like the food that's not so good for you, that's not healthy, that's not nourishing, I find I don't even enjoy it, because when I look at it, I don't see joy. What I look at is that if I eat this, it is not going to help my body. So I don't even want to eat it. I mean, I have no interest in a French fry. Right. Yeah. Really. I have no interest in an Oreo cookie. None. Right.
But I think because your journey took you there. And I think when you're going through the journey of really realizing, like, what does really make me feel good? Is it this piece of cake, really? Or is it the fact that, like, I feel awesome because I just ate a healthy meal and my body, I've digested everything well. I feel good. Like, I'm sleeping good. I'm waking up full of energy. Those are the kind of things that we need to think about as the reward, right? And I think through your journey when we start to unpack things, like you say, and get to that conscious piece, this is part of it. And so,
and so, do you think, and this is what I think on some level, is that you get so used to feeling bad that you get used to it. You don't even realize that you're not feeling good. You don't even realize the effect that not eating in a healthy manner is having on you, because you've normalized it. You just don't. You just.
I've had people say, like, forgive me, but we're all adults here. They've gone to the bathroom and they've become regular, and so that's actually normal when they're like, oh no, I went 2 times or 3 times. I'm like, no, that's great, but that's an example of like, this is the normalcy of it, and so sometimes that can throw somebody off too, to realize like, oh no, this is actually the way it's supposed to be.
Right. I can. This is what. And not only that this is what feeling good feels like, but you're entitled to feel good. You're supposed to feel good.
Right.
You're not supposed to feel sluggish. You're supposed to have energy. That's the way your body's supposed. You're not supposed to have inflammation, right? You're not. That's not. I'm just getting older. I just gotta
feel like I can't breathe right after the meal.
So I think that there is some education, some stuff that we need to pull back around, just accepting or thinking and making the connection of how the food really impacts how we feel, not just how we look. That's the only thing I was concerned about at first. At first I just really wanted to wear cuter clothes, and then I got
nothing wrong with that. Yeah,
right. And then it changed, and then it changed to like, oh my God, this really is connected to. This is really connected to full well-being. Yeah. Leslie, we're just talking away here, and you're soaking it all in, or you're gathering your thoughts, or I feel something coming, right?
Well, several things. One of the crazy things that I ran into, and you've kind of touched on this, was people would ask me, well, what is your secret? How did you manage to lose the weight? And I would start to tell them, and they'd say, no, really, what did you do? I know that you did something. And they were expecting me to give them, the magic pill, the magic whatever secret to what I did. And they didn't want to hear that what I did was I started measuring and weighing everything that I ate. I kept track of everything that I ate. I started exercising more, being intentional about my exercise, tracking my exercise. They didn't want to hear what I had really done. And they didn't want to believe what I had really done. They knew that I had waved some magic wand, and all of a sudden, everything fell off and all was great and all that kind of stuff. And when you look at the commercials and the advertisements in magazines, and even on your phone, Facebook and all that kind of thing, all these magic bullets show up. And I wrote a blog that's on my website about the goalie stuff, and I said, you need mouse glasses to read the mouse print, because in the mouse print it says, but you have to have mouse glasses in order to read it. That's why they put it in mouse print, because not everybody has mouse glasses. But it says, this works with diet and exercise. And the reason they put it in mouse print is because they know that you're not going to take the time to find your mouse glasses to read it. You're expecting the magic bullet. You're expecting the magic pill. You're expecting the magic of only having to do this and not do anything else. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, Mickey Mouse, when he told the brooms and everything else to start cleaning up the wizard's house, and then he forgot how to get everybody to stop. It becomes like that. There is no magic to it. There is decision. And, you talk about you followed the sleep in the water for 3 days. You woke up on the fourth day, and you were at the position or the place that you wanted to be. And oh, how amazing! Now, what am I going to eat the first thing? Well, I say, you know what? That's great that you did that, but I also say, how did you plan to celebrate arriving at that place? Because as you guys know by now, I am all about celebration. But I am all about deciding before you begin how you're going to celebrate when you arrive, so that you're focusing on that celebration. Because what that celebration does is it reinforces all those changes that we're making. So I say, okay, so how are you celebrating this? How are you celebrating? And people around me long enough, they know that the next question that's going to come out of my mouth is, how are you celebrating? But the other thought that I had was, if you only did this for 3 days, you did not have enough time to learn a new habit. You did not have enough time to change your old habit. All you did was take a pill, put a little makeup on, to cover up the sunburn, or the whatever you have, the pimples and whatever you have on your face. All you did was put some whitewash on the whole situation. You didn't correct the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to happen, and tell me I'm wrong. What's going to happen is, as soon as you get in your car is going to take itself straight to Whataburger, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, and
Mm-hmm.
The other person in your car, even though you're in your car by yourself, the other person in your car is going to pull up and they're going to order a honey butter chicken biscuit, or they're going to order, some breakfast tacos. They're going to order a sausage biscuit, 2 or 3 of them, as a matter of fact. And they might even, depending upon the time of day when they arrive, they might even order a milkshake. And then they're going to drive off and say, you know what? I deserve this. I earned it, because look what I did. Look, as I said, you haven't had time to learn anything.
And
So
you know what, Leslie?
it circles back around really to what we talk about so much. Why did you go on that crazy journey in the first place? Why did you decide that you were going to be very mindful of drinking your water and getting your sleep in the first place? And if we are not crystal clear on why we go on that journey in the first place, when we arrive at the destination, it's going to be about the destination and not about the journey.
And you know what, Leslie, you really touched on why I even asked that question in the first place, and why I think there aren't any answers. Because if you haven't done the work to get to the destination, right, you don't have any idea what to do once you get there to maintain it. And so that and that speaks to why we have to do the work of the journey, so we know what to do, right? You wake up, in your it is like taking us here, taking the 4 of us here in the United States and dropping us in Argentina, right?
That'd be okay. I speak Spanish.
Hmm?
I said,
You speak
that would be
Spanish?
okay. I speak Spanish.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Then okay. Let's drop us in Portugal. You,
I can understand Portuguese.
but
How about you take us, drop
get
us
what I'm saying.
in? Yeah.
It's like you wake up and you're in a foreign. Okay, all right. You wake up and you're in a foreign land. You say, I want to go there. I want to go there. I want to go there. I want to be there. It looks like it's good, and it'll be good when I get there. But you don't have any idea what the customs are, and so you're lost. You're lost, and you don't have a good time. Quite frankly, you have a miserable time, and you struggle. And so it's that same thing that we have to. We have to go through the process. We have to, go through the journey to be able to wake up and make the decisions, that'll keep us in that place, or continue to advance us, or else, it'll be like you said,
It's like I told somebody earlier this week. If I would have known what I know now, we were talking earlier about, you not knowing what you don't know. if I would have known what I know now about the fact that it was going to be as difficult of a journey as it was, and the reason that it was difficult is I had to do the hard work of the hard work. And truthfully, honestly, I mean, let's get down to bottom brass tacks. And Gina, I know that you deal in nutrition, but you can probably back this up. 80% of weight loss occurs from the shoulders up. It is reflected from the shoulders down.
100%.
And if
Sure.
we do not deal with the 80%, which is the shoulders up, and I'm not talking about what you put in your mouth, I'm talking about what is running around in your head. If we don't deal with that, it doesn't make any difference how many fabulous meal plans Gina comes up with, or how, you know, amazing she can make something, and she does. So I'm not just talking out of turn. Gina creates amazing foods, but it doesn't make any difference because we can do anything short term. Anything. We can do anything short term. Think about how many times you were in a job short term that you knew was going to be short term. Think about the classes that you took in school and you couldn't stand the class, you couldn't stand the professor, but you knew it was short term. You knew there was an end to the whole thing. We can do anything short term.
Yeah.
But this isn't what we're talking about. We're talking about the rest of your life. And I can't speak for you guys, but I intend to live to be 153 years old in one day. So I better learn how to be the best me that I possibly can so that I make it all the way to 153 in one day.
Mm-hmm.
But short term, we can do anything because when that term is over, we can go back to what we were doing before.
Mm-hmm. So, Leslie, I want to, you said it last week and you said it this week. And I'm just, I get it, 80% heads up. I think it's 100% heads up. The work, it all is in tandem, but until you get your mind right, as my grandfather says, until we get our minds right, we can't get up off the couch. We can't go walking until we get our mind in that place. We can't make different decisions about food until we get our minds in that place. And then after that, it's getting our minds in that place, and then it's getting our hearts in that place. It's getting our feelings in that place.
Yeah.
And something that kind of comes up for me right now is like, I walk almost every morning, and I grew into that. But what I find now as I walk is I find like a great deal of joy in walking, right? And I find a great deal. I find joy in watching people watch me as I walk. It makes me feel good, like to see people to see them happy to see me walking, and I hold on to that feeling, and it is that feeling that I'm just like real conscious, and I'll say, you know what, this walking and this response that I see feels better to me than anything that I could eat. I mean, now that I'm on this side, but I didn't know that this was going to happen when I first began, right? And there have been so many things that have come up that now I'm in this leg of the journey about what it feels like to be on this side, that is holding on to that feeling and wanting and treasuring that feeling and wanting to keep that feeling that makes it easy to make decisions about what to eat. And the way that anybody that is really trying to get on the road and get on the journey and stay on this journey is to find that feeling, right? Whatever it is, and it could be being able to wrap a towel around you. We talked about this other night when we talked about non-scale victories, like how much fun that is. Even if you can't do it now, even if you can't do it, you can imagine it. And if you can take yourself and practice taking yourself to that imaginary place, that dreamland, that daydream land of where you actually are your ideal weight, and how much fun that is, and how much joy that is, and how accomplished you'll feel, and how much you would have achieved, and just let that wash over you all the time, the imagining being in that space, then it becomes easier to make the decisions that that get you there and keep you there, as long as you keep yourself wrapped in that feeling.
Well, and you talk about you say it's 100% mental. Well, what I'm saying with regard to that is 80% of the work that we do happens from the shoulders up. 20%, is what we're putting into our body and the moving and the exercising and things like that. And then talking about how much you enjoy walking and everything. I enjoy. If you would have asked me 7 years ago if I would enjoy going to the gym 4 days a week and then walking at least an hour and a half a day, I would have laughed at you and said, are you crazy? But I mean, for me personally, I do love going to the gym. And one of the reasons that I love going to the gym is, like, for example, tomorrow is deadlift day. So the trainer and I work out 1 day a week. I work out by myself the rest of the time. But I will be deadlifting when I get to the top end of my reps. I will be lifting 225 pounds. And to watch the people around me as I'm lifting, that weight is hysterical. Now, I don't do it for their expressions on their face. I do it because it's like, holy cow, look at, how powerful you have become. Because when I started several years ago, I could barely lift the bar, which is, I think, 45 pounds. And now I'm lifting, 225 pounds, and I can bench press 85 pounds. But, you have to start where you start. But at the same time, you got to keep it clear. Why are you going on the journey? And if we're clear on why we're going on the journey, then when we arrive, we know what it was that we were trying to do, and we continue going rather than simply arriving at the destination, getting on the plane and going back home.
Right. Absolutely. So, man, we are down to our 30 minutes. We're down to our 30 minutes for this evening. Thank you for joining us on A Brand New Take. And I think that ending on that note of going home, Leslie, is a good place to end, because as we get our mind and our hearts and our eating and our movement, as we get in alignment, as we get in balance, that's home, right? It's home for us. So and we're finding that place of comfort. That's home. So we will end with that. Thank you, Dr. Colleen, for being moderator and a producer extraordinaire. Gina, if you would tell people how to find you, if they want to get those pumpkin oat bars or some other recipe, or get some nutrition expert support, we want people to be able to find you.
Sure. You can reach me on Instagram at Gina Trim Nutrition. And then, or on my email, ginatrimnutrition@gmail.com.
All right. And Leslie Davis, author, You Can't Eat Love, if you can let people know how to find you.
The easiest way to find me is my website, youcan'teatlove.com. If you want to, you can email me at leslie@youcan'teatlove.com.
Beautiful. And I am Michelle Pettis. You can find me at iambrandnewnow@gmail.com. You can check me out. And follow me on Instagram. I am brand new now. If you're watching on YouTube, you already know that. If you're watching in the Facebook group, I am brand new now, Facebook. And also, if you would like to download a free chapter of my new book, Leaving Large: The Stories of a Food Addict, you can do that at leavinglarge.com. And be on the lookout, because the book is coming out. The book is coming out. Finally, and you can get your fill of food stories. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next Sunday.